TikTok, it's time to rock, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Sunday show. Sorry about the delay. It's a hard job. I've got my electric pen here, and I'm trying to get the Rock Professor and Brad the Backdoor Man to sign their new contracts with the show. And as usual, you know, me trying to just get them to sign it just didn't work.
Well, we had lots of terms and conditions that you had to abide by.
Yeah. I'm getting my lawyer. I'm not signing anything without a lawyer.
The first one was, can we please put these shows on time? Yeah, okay, no problem.
Hey, guys, look, in all fairness, we were ready to go live on time, but Andrew's, you know, he's got a little bit of a head cold going on at the moment, so forgive us. We had to rearrange a few things back in the green room just to make sure tonight goes as planned. So.
Yes, right.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, obviously, to be here. I'm sick with you guys.
Oh dear, not for much longer.
I was just going to do the whole intro for you, Andrew, to save you talking. You know, like good evening and welcome to the Albert Hall.
It's always a pleasure though to come together. Get that? Come together, right? Bassman stickers work on basses too, guys. You get a good bass tone.
Tone sticker, the new thing, the now sound, the new wave. Tone stickers.
Yeah. That Hofner Brad, I put a Bassman sticker on it. My God, the bass tone just transformed, bro.
Just tightened up that bottom end, eh?
Woo! Did it what? Look, guys, we did a show yesterday on the channel. We did with the other side of the channel with Jimmy
the
dark side of the channel. Yeah, with Jimmy and John, and we had young Tanner on as well. We hung out with him for a couple of hours, and that was pretty good. If you guys haven't seen that show, please go and have a look at it.
Yeah, it was a great show, Andrew. Yeah. And as per usual, you know, I was lurking in the background listening to everything that was going on. So it was, it was a great show. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
Fantastic.
As per usual, I was asleep.
Now after your big night with your cane.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you got it.
Yeah, big night. I'd just gone to bed.
Folks, we're gonna start the show off properly soon. We promise. There's a couple of things that we want to do. There's a couple of shout outs. I'm going to go first. Obviously, the first shout out. This album had its birthday yesterday. Dropped in 1966. Yeah. How many years ago was that, Simon?
Oh, it's 57 years.
57. Only
57 years.
Now, when you think about this album. And listen to it, and I listened to it twice today. Being 57 years old, it's just remarkable, isn't it?
That's unreal. Yeah, what a guitar tone! Wow, and people are still trying to get that guitar tone. Believe it or not, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, bro. Good point.
Yeah. So you've got to turn out to 11.
We're all still searching for that tone. Well, happy birthday, Beano album. I've got a shout out to Andrew and Simon. It's
go
the top hatted one birthday. So happy birthday, Slash. Everyone knows who Slash is. If you don't, then you know you need to check out Guns N' Roses. But yeah, happy
How old is
birthday.
he, bro?
Jeez, I knew you were going to ask me that. He's 25.
If you guys haven't already seen that too, we've ranked one of the greatest debut albums ever in rock and roll history on the channel too, Appetite for Destruction. So go and check that out. That was a fun show. The three of us did that.
Yeah, that was a great show.
Yeah.
Slash is, I'm just looking it up now. I think he is 25, 1 year on, 26 years old. So he'd be happy with me to say that.
Oh, here we go.
26. Oh. Flattery.
So Slash, when you're watching this episode back, yeah, we're not telling everyone you're really 58 years of age. You're 26.
Oh.
Okay, good on you.
Is he seriously only 58?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I'm going home. He's younger than me. That's it. I'm going to throw a tant.
I can see a rock professor hissy fit happening real soon.
How many dare he? Yes. Oh dear. And I've got a shout out to Teresa Maria de Souza, whose birthday it was yesterday. So happy birthday, Teresa. I hope you had a lovely day. Lots of cake and presents.
Happy birthday.
And yeah, hope you catch it on the replay.
We've got a lot of time and Teresa has a big place in our hearts here on the channel, guys, because we know the effort that she went through last year, sharing our channel. Probably still does it, but we know that we picked up literally hundreds of Brazilian subscribers.
Yeah, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So she definitely deserves a shout out for her birthday.
Do you want to do a shout out, Rock Professor, and then Brad will kick off the show?
What, for Teresa?
A shout out to the people in the chat.
Oh yes. Oh, say hi to yeah. The troublesome chat. You mean they're all complaining about the fact we're late and.
Well, you guys, it's not my fault. You guys didn't want to sign the contract.
Good morning, Jim. Just under 50. Jimmy Ray Hawkins. Good morning. Jimmy Ray thinks that we work on Baker's minutes, but Baker's dozens.
Yes,
we do. We got Beb's minutes, which could be almost anything really. So good morning to Jimmy Ray. That's very good, Derek. Ellen. Good morning, Ellen. Nice to see you this morning. Hope you're well. We've got Gretch Zeppelin. Morning, Gretch. Nice to see you too. And Derek. Morning, Derek. Good to see you as well. Greg Roberts Tune. Morning, Greg. Hope you're well. Who else we got? Rolling and scrolling. The delay is longer than a Boss DD3. Jonas Halber. Good morning, Jonas. Hope you're well. Oh, that's Derek's joke, by the way. So clearly causing trouble in the chat. LNM Guitar Corner. Andy, good morning. Hope you're well. Good to see you. Oh, Martin, sorry. Hopefully that's yes. Everyone's younger than me. Yeah, that's true. So hopefully that's everybody. Hope I've got everybody. Yeah. So good morning, everyone. Hope you're all good. Thanks for joining us on this rainy, blustery, not very summery July day in the UK.
Yeah. If you guys are watching also on replay, thank you very much for watching our videos. Thank you for watching the other videos that we've been putting up too on the channel, folks. One video that we put up a week ago has got 22,000 views. It's one on Peter Green and John Lennon discussing Peter Green and Fleetwood Mac. 22,000 views for the channel, so it's a nice little event for us, our highest ranked video that we've got on the channel, guys. So if you are watching those videos and are sharing our links, we always appreciate it. Thank you. And we've picked up 84 subscribers in 28 days, boys.
Unreal.
And I reckon we must have done, and we must have done 25. How many views did we do in the last month? Must be
50,000 views. 50,000 views.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Amazing.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Thanks to John Lennon, but we'll all
Thanks
thank
to
John
everyone
Lennon.
who subscribed. Thank you very much. So we're glad to have you on board.
Awesome.
So, guys, we're here to discuss and continue our epic saga of 24 Nights. And Simon's got the cover there for 24 Nights, the Rock CD and DVD.
Keep it moving so the bots can't spot it as a.
So we're going to do the first 9 tracks of 18 tracks on the. I think it's going to take us plenty of time on this. I'm not going to do a big introduction on the background between 24 Nights because we've already done that a few times. So if you like, Andrew's created a segment on our channel where you can go and look at all the 24 Nights related information. So, but I will say this thing, and I'll quickly talk about the rock segment of 24 Nights. We did the blues nights last week. There's a very big contrast in the amount of rehearsing and how tight the band is in comparison to the blues nights. The blues nights were very structured and improvised. Let's put it that way. They're structured but improvised. This here, there's obviously improvisation going on with the solos and whatnot, but they're very structured. The band's very, very tight, and you can tell they're very well rehearsed. A big contrast for the blues nights. I want to give a shout out to the musicians. There's obviously, in amongst these performances, there's a 4-piece band and a 9-piece band, and sometimes there's brass involved in the 9-piece band as well. So obviously Eric Clapton is the star here. A close second spot has to be his gear. I love his sound here. The Soldano, the Marshall, the Stratocaster is by far one of my favorite live sounds he's ever had. Full stop. Big shout outs to Nathan East on bass, Greg Fillinganes on keyboards, Steve Ferrone on drums. You've got a special guest on a couple of songs here, Phil Collins. And then obviously the addition to the 9-piece band is Phil Palmer. You've got Alan Clark on keyboards, Chuck Lavelle keyboards. You've got Ray Cooper percussion and plays some drums as well. Katie Kassoon on backing vocals and Tessa Knowles on backing vocals. So we don't have to keep repeating their names all the way through and stuff like that. The header of this, because there's a lot going on in these rock nights, guys. And I don't know if you guys have got anything you want to add before we get to the tracks, rankings, and stuff like that. But
just one thing, bro. I think next week when we do the conclusion next week, we might have some picks and we might spend 5-10 minutes just talking about the gear. I know that we've done that on the original 24 Nights that we've done, but I think didn't we? I thought we discussed that we might just do a little bit about that though, didn't we? We were going to talk about because there is a bit of information on that, so we'll do that next week. If that's okay, but you're right. We've got all those videos, bro, on the playlist where you've gone in depth, Simon and I, on the first show we did. I think we spent an hour and a half going through basically all that kind of stuff. Yeah, because it's a 4-hour show.
It's a big episode. And look, guys, like I said, it's a big contrast from the blues nights. These rock performances, and this, in my opinion, is Eric Clapton at his peak. This is a fantastic band. They're well rehearsed. They sound, they know each other very well by this point. You can tell they've been playing. Well, the core of the band have been playing together quite a bit. Nathan East, Steve Ferrone, and Greg Fillinganes. Fantastic lineup. Simon and Andrew, if you guys are right, let's dive into the track listings. Got anything you want to add?
I have one small thing to add, just to humour you. That I this week I thought, right, I'm going to watch the DVDs and see what's going on. Yeah. So the Blu-ray. So I bought an external Blu-ray player and failed to make it work on any piece of equipment that I have. Utterly failed completely. So got it on Tuesday, sent it back on Thursday. Because it doesn't work. It doesn't work with my PC. It doesn't work with my Chroma. Nothing. It's like, well, that's it. That's a doorstop. So epic failure on the technology front. I've still failed to watch any of the Blu-rays brilliantly.
Wow.
So I've stuck with the CDs.
Audio wise, I mean, the visual puts everything into
fine.
perspective, obviously, but audio is what we're ranking anyway. So,
No,
all right,
that's
guys,
fine. That's right. I thought that would amuse you.
we start with Pretending. So, mate, what a song straight out of the gate. It's, one of my favorite Clapton songs. And this is the 9-piece band lineup. And what a performance of this song. The keyboard intro by Greg, the lead up into the song, the way it builds it up. And then the drums come in and we get that wonderful feel, some Steve Ferrone, and the Nathan East on the bass is just locked in. Eric comes in, he's playing that smooth lead guitar over the top, and he's got his wah pedal engaged, and it just sounds like godly. It's amazing. Nathan East, he's just so tight. He fills all the holes. This is the 4-piece band, so obviously he's making sure he's filling out all that bottom end. This is the 9-piece band. My mistake, guys. 9-piece band. And then you got Phil Palmer playing, behind it as well. So it's a massive sound. What's going on here? You actually think, if you shut your eyes, and I'm sure you probably, guys, if you haven't seen the footage already, you would think that it's Eric playing Phil Palmer's guitar parts, because he's playing the journeyman guitar parts. He's playing them like as per the record, which is phenomenal. It sounds great. Great backing vocals from Katie and Tessa. The first guitar solo is just drenched in wah tone. There's some wonderful lead guitar work by Eric. The footage is incredible. It's captivating. I love how they do the split screen, so you can see, the neck of the guitar, what he's doing with his hands, the close-up of the guitar. We've spoken about this anyway after the Across 24 Nights special, where you can see the pickup height. You can see everything. You can see the flame maple in the neck of the guitar. And it's like I'm drooling over this guitar in the close-ups. And the split screen, you can really focus on what Eric's doing. And for any, up-and-coming guitar players or anyone who wants to really focus on his playing, this is the footage you need, because you can see a distance shot and close-up. It's unbelievable. You can see everything, what's going on there. Eric just looks really swift and smart in his suit. He's got the Versace guitar strap, the black Stratocaster with the really strong flame maple neck. The band is absolutely cooking. They're going through this song like a steam train. There's another verse, and Eric launches into another guitar solo. We're treated with another wah pedal solo, and we love wah on this channel. There's some classic Eric Clapton bluesy runs and playing in this solo. It's fantastic. The band is playing powerfully. I can't really give it anything else but 100 out of 10, guys. It's probably one of the highlights of this rock night. Rock Professor.
Starting off with a Brad score, eh? Ooh, strong.
Look, I'll disclaimer before we get too far. It's hard not to rank any of this high. It's hard not to.
Well, I have to say, in your defense, I would hope that they put this together over, was it 24 nights and 18 nights the previous year and all of that. If you can't find ace versions of the songs, actually, what are you doing? So, I think 100%. It's entirely fair to give it I think you've covered most of it, haven't you? On it, it is that really full sound, and I think that 9-piece band is, it's a fantastic opening song, isn't it? It's got, I think one of the key things about it, I mean, it's clearly got that kind of 80s, as a guitar sound, so it's big and it's, it fills the space as brilliantly. But with the keyboards as well, I think, Greg Phillingate's keyboards are quite 80s sounds, aren't they? As as a thing. So I don't mind if they're mixed back a bit in the mix, because it's you don't want to date too much. I don't think the drum sound doesn't date, and the stuff, and the bass is fantastic. I think Steve Roney and Nathan East do a fantastic job of holding down the bottom end. I think that there's great backing vocals as well. We get to those more later, but fantastic, and endlessly. I think Eric is really on this. He clearly is. He's gone back to being the guitar man. And is absolutely. I think. It's an interesting point about how much the solos are worked out and things. I had a bit of a discussion with Jim about this, about how much they worked out, because I found a video of a guy talking about a Cream song and about how much the solo was worked out or not, kind of thing, which is interesting. But nevertheless, great solos, both of them, fantastic. Inventive, melodic as well. I think we should say that, melodic solos, and the second one particularly is great. Soaring beast of brilliance. I think that this is a great opener. I think this is the one you open with, to get into it. It has the 9-piece band. It's an introduction to the whole setup, and I too gave it a 10 out of 10 and never a skip. And it's got it's really melodic song, and it's got that that pretending. The chorus is just a fantastically. I'm sure you sing along with it, harmonize in the car, sing along with it, and to me, that's the sign of a great song, is if you're doing that when it's playing and you're looking forward to that, that AED bit, it's like fantastic. So, yes, definitely 10 out of 10 for me. Definitely never a skip. Great opener. Andrew.
Great comments in the chat too, folks. Yeah, it's a killer opener, isn't it? It's the defining tone for me from Clapton from '89 up into the Cradle album, where he's on a different tone altogether. So that's about a 5 to 6 year period where I'm comfortable in saying that this is Clapton at his best in that period. At that 26-second mark, you can hear, after Brad's given you that discussion about the keyboards, you can hear Clapton rip on that bottom E string before he clicks into the wah. Now, which is amazing, because I didn't bother going back and check on the previous versions of this, guys, but I don't know if I heard that as clear as I have on this recording, Brad, and on a couple of songs that we're going to do next week. There's a couple of other different little things too that we've picked up that we definitely know that this is gone through the treatment in a positive way. It's fantastic. You guys are right. That wah solo at the start, that tone, it's just captures everything. I've loved this song since I first heard it when it first came out. Jim's mentioning Journeyman was an album made for touring. '89, this album came out. That song was a single. It was huge. It was the one that got me. That was it was the song that got me, Brad, especially that solo. And we knew there was something going on this guitar tone, didn't we? We knew that. We didn't know anything about Soldano amps back then, and Clapton's boost on his guitar back then. But we know why, because he's got that technology to do that, and we'll talk about that next week. You've also mentioned Nathan East's bass on this track. Well, he just gets better and better. But boy, this opening track of Nathan East, my God, it's phenomenal. And you've rightly too picked out Phil Palmer and his backup, the way that he provides that backup in that space. And I've read his biography. Go and read his biography. His 2 chapters on this time where he's with Eric Clapton. The guy's in awe of him. The guy is standing there, Brad and Simon, playing with Eric Clapton. He can't believe it. He still can't believe it. And he's looking at Eric Clapton, and Eric Clapton looks at him and says, "Come on, take a solo." Okay. Yeah. It's just, he was the right guy, because he didn't want to pinch anything off off Eric, and I think it was made last week on last week's show that a lot of those blues guys were doing the same thing too. Buddy Guy can do that. He can take the centre, but he doesn't really snap it, Brad.
Yeah.
You know, phenomenal opening track. I could go on for another 2 hours talking about this track. I think this track reveals a lot about where Clapton was going, and again, we'll talk a little bit more about that. I've given this a Brad score too. It can't be anything other than a Brad score. It's one of the greatest opening tracks on a live album, in my opinion, ever.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Can I say, just picking up on that Phil Palmer point, that, you know, he has Phil Palmer and then he has Andy Fairweather Lowe. Very much a similar kind of thing. You know,
correct.
You know, as his second guitar player, you know, so, you know, somebody to back him up, somebody he knows, you know, and he's happy to do that and stuff. So I think it's good thinking in a sense.
No
of,
ego.
You know, good picking of the right person. No ego. That's right. Yeah. Happy to be that backup person. Happy, you know, and, you know, you get on with it, Eric. It's fine. I'll play the chords.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So
look,
I think it, you know, it's worth saying that.
I can understand why Phil Palmer would have been in awe, because I reckon I'd have trouble playing my parts, even the simple parts, standing next to Eric Clapton, because I'd be in awe just as much as well. So well done, Phil Palmer. So we're up to the next track, guys, which is Running on Faith. And this is the part of the Blu-ray and where he talks to the crowd. He actually says, he introduces, you know, the annual dust up at the Albert Hall, and he notes that there's cameras everywhere and reassures them all that he's there to play for them, so don't worry about the cameras. He goes, you know that, don't you? I'm here to play for you. You know that, don't you? It's like reassuring them. And visually, the lights on the Blu-ray go purple. There's like a purple wash over the stage, and starts off very mellow. Greg on the keyboards. This is the 4-piece band, by the way. And some lovely, delicate, little light Stratocaster tone playing, going from Eric over the top, which leads us into the drums, where the drums come in. And there's some beautiful open chords from Eric. Just, you know, just they shimmer. The sound is shimmering at this point here. You know, at this point, Eric's his hair's a bit shorter, so obviously this the footage from earlier. He's playing the pewter grey Strat with the heavily flame maple neck that we keep referring to. It's a really good visual, as well as, and the way that they've done the footage, and they sort of scan across, and the purple lights are behind him. It's very godlike. It's very they've done it really, really well. It's a beautiful footage, the way they've done it. This is where you can really tell Eric is a true vocalist, not just a guitar player. His vocal sound is strong. He lays back. He's delicate where he needs to be, and he pushes hard where he needs to. He's a real singer. He's not just a guitarist that sings anymore. He's a real singer here. And we know at this point in his career, vocals he focused a lot on. Nathan East, his bass is fantastic here as well. Very locked in with Steve on the drums. And after some verses and a couple of choruses, the song leads us to the first guitar solo, which it's a gorgeous guitar solo. There's so much emotion in it and feel. You can really hear the sensitivity of Eric playing on the strings with his hands with his fingertips on this solo. I think I actually like the mix of this song. In reference to like previous mixes of this song, you can hear the true Strat tone here coming through, I think.
Correct.
And it actually sounds like probably how it did at the Royal Albert Hall, in my opinion. Not too, maybe not too flooded with other things going on. It's just pretty much what we want to hear, which is the guitar, and it's gorgeous. When it comes back in, it was the singing after the solo. His voice gives me goosebumps. That part where he's singing really hard with conviction, saying, I've always been that bit. Want to take each and every day. Like instantly, I'll get goosebumps talking about it now. And the background vocals from this is a 4-piece band. Let's remember that sounds like 100-piece band. The vocals from Nathan East and Greg Fillinganes are remarkable. You know, they're within their own right, they're phenomenal musicians, and they suit Eric Clapton so much. They've just got this thing, you know, that they suit his style, they suit everything. They bring a little bit more soul and funk to the sound, but they're keeping it pretty much like the recording here, which is fantastic. Again, we hear Eric sings in. There's lots of, you know, where he sings that section where love comes over you, that bit. It's like a breath of fresh air because the music changes. And it's, you know, he sings all the way through that. And then Eric plays some amazing guitar, blistering solo after that. You hear blistering runs. The one thing that I'll say, he's got a very unique bending and vibrato ability. No one really plays vibrato like Eric Clapton, even though everyone tries. I love the split screen footage. We see a three-way split this time. Visually, it's as entertaining as the music. The purple color really, from the lighting, really sets the mood of the song as well. The mix sounds amazing. There's lots of space. So, you know, that probably helps as well because a 4-piece, there's a bit more space than a 9-piece. It's really, really, really hard to not give this song anything but 100 out of 10, guys. And a disclaimer again, I'm not giving all 100 out of 10s, but it's hard to rank anything from this low. So it's not because I'm biased towards this era of Clapton or Eric Clapton in general, but it's just sensational.
The songs deserve it.
Yep. Yeah, 100 out of 10, guys. And over to you, Simon.
Yeah, well, yes. Well, I could. It's interesting. I think was it Derek says about the slow song, you know, being not a very fast song of the second song, but it really works as a song. I think this is a really personal song to Eric as well, don't you? I think there's a, you know, lately I think, you know, newly coming out of his, you know, into his sobriety phase, and clearly it's you know, lately I've been running on faith, what else can a poor boy do? I feel that's quite a personal, you know, statement from Eric about that, as a, you know, so, you know, I understand completely why, you know, he would want to do this song, because I think it's, you know, that the message in it is a personal one to him. I think I agree, Brad. He sings. I mean, you know, he's coming to his own as a singer by this time, isn't he? You know, and clearly has decided that he can sing, and it's not, you know, not going to be reticent about it. I also, as I think Derek said earlier, you know, that, you know, he's come out of the laid back thing of the 70s. You know, kind of, I'm going to be just in the band, and I don't want to, you know, and he's happy to do the, you know, the fantastic lead playing that he's so known for, with, you know, with a fantastic tone. And I think it is a great tone. I made a note at one point when they go to the as you say, the second bit, the GFC bit, you know, that rhythm guitar sound is great, isn't it? I mean, it really is. You know, I made an interest. Sorry, this is a bit of an aside, but I think it's worth. I made a bit of. I've got an old PV Delta Blues, right? And one of these got 2 channels, and one of these has a boost button. Yeah. Now that boost button is not connected to the foot pedals. Right, it's literally, and I asked to get it wired, so maybe, you know, but it's not, and I've never been able to work out what, you know, do you have to go over the amp and press it to do it and stuff, and I only recently, and this ties in with this, that I realised that you put a boost channel on with the Strat, and what you get is what Eric does. I mean, it's not the same because it's a 15-inch speaker, but you get that kind, and it thickens up the Strat sound like wildly. You go, wow, listen to that, you know. Even I sitting here, you know, just straight in, and you play that, you go, wow, now I understand what this boost thing is doing after 25 years of having it. I'm so slow, but it absolutely does that thing.
It's like the fat switch, Simon, on a Blues Junior. Blues Junior has a fat switch for single coils. Yeah,
it's fantastic, and it sounds brilliant as well. I've got the black and white Strat out, press the boost that down. Hey, yeah, that's the trouble with these. You start playing along, don't you? And you forget what you're supposed to be doing. That's fantastic. But so I understand. I think that sound is like, you know, that kind of rich, deep sound is, in a 4-piece. It's just fantastic and fills it up really nicely. I think there's great backing vocals as well. I think Nathan East and Greg Filliganes sing brilliantly on this. Really back Eric up and show that there is no drop in sort of fullness of sound going from the 9-piece to the 4-piece band. The one thing interestingly, I don't know whether you noticed this, but at the end, I don't know whether Greg Filliganes is playing some harmony line or something, but the keyboards, it's like, Greg, what are you playing? Can you stop doing that? It's kind of, I found it so. Of course, once you've heard it, you could never unhear it. So then it becomes a sort of thing. But I don't know quite what was going on there, whether he was doing a sort of harmony line on it or something. But for me, it didn't quite work. But that's just beside. It is a 10 out of 10, as I said, because of that personal thing with Eric. I think it's a very personal song to him. They do it fantastically. He solos brilliantly as well. Again, beautiful solos on it. 10 out of 10 for me. Never a skip. Absolutely. What a great opening to a gig. You can't get any better than that, can you?
No way.
Andrew.
It's hard not to give it a high score, isn't it, folks? Brad's right about the video footage on this DVD package. The Running on Faith thing is the same one that has been on the DVD that we've had for a while, and there's a point that I want to make that Brad made.
Stop rubbing it in.
No, well, it's available. Most of these tracks, yeah. But I just want to back up a point that Brad made on the first track too, about the footage of Clapton on this package. It's the first real time we got in the early 90s of a guitar player playing chords and scales. You got to remember that, we probably take that for granted now. But, how many times through the 80s have we seen a lot of gigs right through the 60s and 70s where you see nothing of the guitar player? So, hats off to the production team back in the early 90s to make sure that guitar players like us were going to get snips of the scales that he was playing. So, good point, Brad, and, to the production team. Again, my co-hosts have mentioned that Strat sound. It's so different, isn't it, from the previous track, Brad? And I'm glad that you and the Rock Professor have picked up on that, because it's another arrow in the bow of Clapton, isn't it? That he's just doing something remarkably different as far as tone and sound goes, but probably not when it comes to, he's probably just turning the volume down a bit.
Yeah.
I would have thought so. Yeah.
You're watching, he does ride the volume quite a bit, because
I
don't want to interrupt your analysis there, Andrew, but I have noticed he does ride his volume a lot. I think there's points where he maybe leave his boost up and he rides the main volume backwards instead of returning the boost down. That's just a couple of observations I've seen that I haven't noted before.
And for all those people out there that say that you can't get a decent Strat tone with a Clapton boost on your Strat, well, it's not going to be a perfect tone, but by God, it's going to go and listen to this. It's pretty good. So I got to agree with you guys.
I think it feels to me like that boost thing, and is that you get a much closer approximation to the kind of Les Paul type sound without playing a Les Paul. Yeah. And to me, that's you're playing a lighter guitar and stuff, but you're still able to get in that sort of territory, and that feels to me like what Eric's going for. For some reason, he doesn't want to do the Gibson thing necessarily. He wants to do the Fender thing, because I think if you turn it off, then you get much more that Fender tone, so you can swap between the two. But you have it and enough of that sound, that Gibson-y sound with the boost on, to to give you, that's close enough. So I think it's interesting that, that's what he's done. That's what he's chosen to do, have the two things together.
And he certainly does that too. And also don't forget the other knob too that, gives him that tonal variation because he doesn't
Yeah.
like using a lot of pedals. Anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about this next week on when we talk about the gear. But I think it's a good point. It's a good point that we need to, because that's what we like talking about here on the channel. I think you're right, Brad. I think he's got the boost up and he's just turning the volume down, and it just has that significant tonal variation that we love, that you need for a song like this. I got to back up the Rock Professor too. Eric Clapton is a good C of E boy, and running on faith is always going to be a good thing for a C of E boy. Roman boys have got other things to run on, but these C of E boys, we'll take them at face value. Again, that personal thing about Clapton, he talks about it himself in his biography. And Brad, you've seen countless videos where he talks about his personal experiences wrapped up in songs and what songs mean to him from a personal perspective. Certainly this is one of those songs. I love it. You're right, Brad and Simon. He sings so beautifully.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you went to the lengths, both of you, to say that this guy is a beautiful singer. This is not a Brad score. This is 10 out of 10.
Yeah, well done. Look, I'm a user of the Pewter Grey EC Strat. I used to use it quite heavily in a Prince tribute I was doing because it covered a lot of tonalities for me. Just to quickly sort of elaborate on the boost, and I do see Clapton do a lot of what I used to do without knowing Clapton did that, which is leave the boost on and ride the main volume back just to lighten the tone up. And I mean, guys do it where they leave their fuzz pedal on and they roll the volume back. Hendrix used to do it in Wind Cries of Mary.
Yeah.
It's like that. The boost is on, but obviously the fuzz is on, but rolling the main volume back. So it does give a different clean tone, which is something that Clapton obviously goes for. But I just sort of elaborate on that quickly. Breaking Point, guys. It's a very funky song, very funky feel. The way they've done this is a 9-piece band again, and there's brass as well, addition of brass section in this. I always have thought this song has a bit of a Prince feel to it. Ironically, I was just talking about Prince then. And I know Clapton admired Prince there for a while, and it still does, obviously. Eric's voice, again, is fantastic. He comes in singing probably at the higher end of his register, but very powerfully. There's no weak, like his voice is not faltering or weakening off. It's strong. The drums and bass are really tight. Nathan East and Steve Verona are tight on this one. They're tight on everything, but they're really tight on this. The guitars are just vamping funk over the top of the choruses where he sings. Where he sings, and then when he does the chorus lines where he's at his breaking point, he sounds amazing. And all round the BVs from the whole band are next level. This band obviously worked very hard and rehearsed very hard, is what I said in the head of this, and this song in particular highlights that without a doubt. There are some improvisational bits which we'll get to, but for the most part, it's very structured, very arranged, and closely arranged to the original version as well. If we want to go down that path, the brass section is highlighted on this song in a wonderful way. Visually, Eric's sporting like a white suit, looking somewhat like John Lennon a bit, where John Lennon used to wear the white suit in Toronto and stuff like that. He's got the pewter grey Strat with the flame maple neck again. So, obviously, it's one of my all-time favourite looking Strats that Eric played. I'd love to know where those guitars ended up. I'm sure someone might know in the chat, or Andrew or someone you might know. We're blessed to a saxophone solo. Sounds great as the song breaks down. And then there's a key change section during the solo. And Nathan East's bass line in that section is phenomenal. Again, like I said, all the background vocals are phenomenal. Eric hits the wah pedal and starts adding guitar licks. It's not Phil Palmer. It's Eric is playing and singing. He's doing a call and response thing with his guitar. So he's singing and then he plays a wah line and he plays. I love how he does that. It's that's a hard-working musician there, singing, playing guitar, and focusing on all that. He's really focused on this song. It comes towards the end of the song. It seems Eric Clapton launches into more of a improvised section. He starts playing very Hendrix lines reminiscent of Voodoo Child towards the end of the song. The drums stop even, and Eric plays unaccompanied there with the wah. It's phenomenal. He plays one wrong note. I'm probably sure he kicks himself out slightly off out of the pentatonic scale, but it works anyway. It's not like it's a sore thumb, but he probably would have been kicking himself because you see him flinch at that point. But he's very focused on it. I guess, it's in a key of, the key of the song is one semitone lower than E. So he's probably used to playing in E a lot, and that's why I reckon he made that little. I'm being really, really particular here by pointing that out as well.
Semitone down, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, he makes this all sound effortless at the end of the day, and I've given this a 9.5 out of 10. Never a skip. The band sound phenomenal. Simon.
Yeah, back to the 9-piece again, but I'd say seamless with the last track. You don't notice that there's particularly, you do notice if you listen, but there's no kind of like empty space, really full and then empty and kind of thing. It's that they fill up the space in the same way. Okay, it's a bit different, but I note here on as you say, it's much more kind of funky song, kind of funky basis to it. Saxophone on it as well, quite clearly saxophone, horns as well, but particularly saxophone. I don't know who's playing it. It doesn't seem to make it. I couldn't find any particular notes about who was playing it, but I haven't seen who's playing it. So, I think it's a bit more of a complex song, counterpoint harmonies. I think you're right, Brad. It's been worked out, this, hasn't it? They've rehearsed this, worked out what to do with the bits, and they've got some drop downs, a couple of drop downs. Eric sings just with the drums and keys at 4 minutes, and interestingly, a lot of them, I noticed this, a lot of them. So 4 minutes, Eric sings with backing just drums and keys. 5 minutes he does a solo. It's kind of like you seem to on the minute you seem to change. I don't know if I'm sure that's not deliberate, but it felt like after 4 minutes I'm going to do this, and after 5 minutes I'm going to do this. But again, and you drop down at the end, you just have the bass drums and the solo guitar, and then just the guitar to end. It's kind of. I too gave it 9 out of 10. Never a skip. It's not quite as good as the first two, but excellent, and also broadening out as well, into sort of that funky territory, a bit more bluesy, funky thing. Andrew.
Yeah, I think you guys have summed it up pretty well. It's got a nice party vibe, hasn't it? It's the first song that's not on the original 24 Nights package that came out, so I'm looking forward to seeing this. Couple of points I want to talk about the song. You got Clapton rapping. Probably the first time you're ever going to get Clapton rapping on a song through the chorus there. Bit of a rap going on. Well done, Mr. Clapton. And you've got Mr. Bass Pops coming through. I gather it's Nathan East playing bass, brother?
Yes.
Yeah. And he pops through. He's popping through really, really well. An unsung hero on this album, Nathan East. I love the horns. You guys have mentioned that. It gives it an extra dimension that we probably, if you were listening to this as the first package back in 91 or 90, you probably wouldn't be expecting this. So I don't mind it. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind it. But yeah, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit off the pace from the previous songs. I've given this, Brad and Simon, 8 out of 10. It's never a skip, though.
Just Jim has said it's Michael Brecker from the Brecker Brothers
Oh, yes.
playing the saxophone. Thanks, Jim, for that. Excellent.
Yeah. Well, so from Breaking Point, we get to the next song, which is I Shot the Sheriff, and starts off with a lovely keyboard intro. When the kick drum comes in and the bass sounds massive, Eric sort of graces us with some really delicate guitar playing over the top. This is the 4-piece band with Phil Collins on drums this time. There's some fantastic background vocals in this song. And the guitar, they double the guitar line as well. Eric comes in singing wonderfully strong, and the dynamic of the band comes down, and his voice is very dynamic. Once the drums kick in, it sounds sensational. Phil Collins is obviously an amazing drummer. They're well rehearsed. He knows his song really well, and he plays this wonderfully. Nathan is really locked into that kick drum of this song on the bass. He's really locked in on that kick drum. He does it so wonderfully well on all the songs anyway, but this one in particular is very tight. Being the 4-piece band, he needs to be the lack of way of putting it, he needs to be the bottom end rhythm holding it all tight. He's wonderful. You're watching the chemistry on stage between these four amazing musicians is just something else. It's next level. Eric looks very comfortable playing with these other 3 guys. He knows them and played with them enough for him to have confidence to just do what he's got to do over the top, musicianship wise. I love the solo of the song, how they break it down, and Eric works the volume of the Stratocaster. He plays laid back and delicate bluesy, and then as the intensity of the song lifts, he lifts his playing and dynamically with the music. Very, very professional musician. Obviously, Eric's right on top of it. Visually, the split screen again, the close-ups of his left hand, the detail of the guitar pictured wonderfully. His ability to vibrato on the strings and the way that they show it, it makes you go pull your Stratocaster out and start practicing just vibrato. It's something that the footage that we've seen previously before this package came out was always good, but I think now it's just next level again to see the different camera angles and seeing the long shot plus a close up, and this is the stuff we dreamed about as up and coming guitarists in the 90s, and now we've finally got it 30 something years later, which I think is wonderful. Eric is the bluesman here. He's playing very smooth, very bluesy, and he's, I guess, for a lack of better ways of putting it, he's the definitive rock blues guitarist vocalist, in my opinion. This is an absolutely rocking version of this song. Definitely my favorite version of this song ever. 10 out of 10, never a skip, guys. Simon.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Yes, there's very much a kind of 2 parts to it, isn't there? There's the intro bit, which is quite sort of impressionistic and kind of, sort of feeling your way in. The organ kind of carries on from the last track, so as a kind of carryover. I don't know if that happened in real life. One of the things I meant to do was I don't know what the original set lists were like for these things, but clearly they're not. I don't know whether they're not following the original set list because they're jumping between the 4 and the 9 piece. But it'd be interesting to know. I think whether these things were the same or not. But Phil fits right in, doesn't he? Phil Collins, he fits right in. You wouldn't necessarily know that it was Phil Collins if you didn't know it was Phil Collins, if that makes sense. I noticed that, and we'll get into this a bit more, but when he's doing the solo guitar at the beginning, he plays a melody that is very like Can't Find My Way Home. He plays a little bit that is like, and you think, oh, hang on, what's that doing? And we'll get into that in more detail because I think there's something in this. But I think one of the key things I like about it is that it has that kind of dynamics thing, doesn't it? You know, it kind of drop down and then they bring it up, and they drop down to the chorus and they bring it up for things, and you know, they gradually build up intensity towards the end. You know, and the solo gets more kind of passionate, and you know, it's great lesson in dynamics on how to build a solo in a in a relatively slow song, I think. So it's a great version of it. I think, you know, there's something about live versions of things that are, you know, you've got to, you know, where they stretch out, where they do things. It's fantastic. I gave this 9 out of 10. Never a skip. Absolutely not. Great version of it. And also with that kind of reggae feel to it, a kind of broadening out of the, you know, the sound palette of the, you know, it's not just blues and it's not just, you know, they're kind of broadening out to what you're hearing, which I think is really cool. You know, it's a 4-track. I think absolutely that's exactly what's going on. Andrew.
I might be in trouble here. Again, this track is this track is not on the original DVD CD package that came out. I do remember this was on the Across 24 Nights though, wasn't it?
On which one? Sorry, Andrew.
On the film.
No.
I'm
No, I can't remember.
No, it was unreleased.
No, the one that on the film that came out in May.
Across 24 Nights. Sorry,
Yeah.
my apologies. Yes.
Yeah. So this is where it's going to be interesting, folks, because I really enjoyed watching that, and I remember coming back and making some notes and talking to Brad the day after, going that I really liked that. I really liked watching it. And then when I hear this, Brad and Simon, it's a wobbly version. It's not. It's not the best version tonally for my ears of this great song that Clapton has done many times through his career. It's okay. It's fine. But I think the value for a lot of people, it's going to be, and again, this is my own personal experience, and none of us here are experts. But I was enthralled to see it, you know, because they came up on the stage, didn't they? And Phil Collins had the snare drum there, and we liked that sort of that impromptu vibe kind of thing. I got that, but that's not translating, Brad and Simon, to my ear well.
That's a bit later, that one, Andrew, that you're talking about there with the hi-hats. We'll talk about that a bit later. But yeah, okay. I know what you're saying, because of this, but this version was, I'm pretty sure, Across 24 Nights. Yes, I'm pretty sure it was.
Okay, yeah. So it's a wobbly version. It's fine. It's okay. I haven't given this high score like a lot of you folks in the chat and my co-hosts have given. You know, I've given it an 8 out of 10. I love the bass. I think the bass carries the song, and you guys have mentioned that, and also the keys. You know, having the keys, again, you know, rock and roll will be dead without keys, won't it? You know, how many times have we said that? We're going to continue saying that for a long time. But yeah, a wobbly version, 8 out of 10, Brad.
That's a fair score. Look, it's you know, it's a different version, isn't it? So the next song we come to after I Shot the Sheriff is White Room. That's what I'm just double checking my notes here. White Room. Wow, it's a thunderous version of White Room, and the drumming and atmospheric sort of sound in that intro is phenomenal. I love Eric Clapton's use of the wah pedal again. The way Eric comes in singing, his voice sounds fantastic. This is one of my favorite versions of this song. I'm so used to hearing this from previous 24 Nights package. Eric sings fantastically. Greg Phillingain sings fantastically as well. Nathan incorporates some fantastic bass runs through the verses. And let's talk about Eric's use of the wah pedal and the way he employs the wah pedal. He uses it like Hendrix in this song as an effect. And he uses it to flutter the notes and uses it also to squeeze notes out. And honestly, I think, from the Cream days, Eric is one of the pioneers with a wah pedal. And, I think he needs more credit for the way that he actually uses the wah pedal. But I believe that his influence of Hendrix there comes into play with this wah pedal and this effect. We hear another section that leads us to, and like a slight pause, and then a blistering solo from Eric Clapton. Guys, this is probably one of my favorite solos in the whole 24 Nights package on White Room. The sound is something else for starters. The visuals are outstanding, again, with the split screen, the different sort of angles, but the space between the notes, the bends, the vibrato, the way he employs the wah pedal, and the rhythm section underneath him understand and really push Eric's playing to another level. I think it's just that chemistry and cohesiveness with this four-piece band. I love the drumming. I love the way Steve Ferrone plays drums in this song. Eric's solo is screaming. The double time feel happens with the drumming during the solo. And we're reminded at this point, there's a few sections there, how fast Eric Clapton can actually play when he wants to, and he feels it's necessary. Because
Sure.
it's a masterclass in a blues rock guitar. He plays blues rock, and he knows when to hold back and push. So this solo, for anyone that wants to learn how to play blues rock guitar playing, this is a masterclass. It's the perfect guitar solo. And the outro of the song sounds massive. And again, we hear that sort of that fluttery wah pedal style that Eric sort of plays, that very Hendrix thing. Look, guys, I could go on for a long time about this song. The solo in this song is one of my favorites on the whole package, like I said. That being said, no secret, 100 out of 10, guys, never a skip. Simon.
Yeah, it is a great version of it, isn't it? It is absolutely a great version of it. I mean, the original has lots of power. They bring the dynamics to it as well. With the four piece, I think they all sing. I think that the powerful vocals from is really good and really brings it. I think the sound, the guitar sound is fantastic. The interesting thing to me, Brad, is that thing with the wah wah. It makes it sound like a Leslie, doesn't it? It's that flutter thing makes it sound like. And I thought to myself, and actually, that's quite a different use of the wah to just that kind of funky kind of sound, and you kind of clearly, I don't know whether he's leaving it on one setting or whether he's just fluttering it a bit with his foot. It sounds right. Yeah, but it doesn't sound. It's not that that if you do that broad stroke thing, wow, one, doesn't it? You get that definite wah wah effect. This is not that wah effect. As you say, just doing it. It just gives it that flutter, that kind of that makes it sound more like a Leslie than a thing, which I think is a really cool effect. And I think it's not something that everybody does a wah wah, but uses a wah wah pedal for. His temptation is to do that, isn't it? and give it some stick and get that wow bit, which is what it's for. But I agree. It's got fantastic solos, hasn't it? Eric is really, he's really on form in these things, and I presume he's. I think they're powerful solos, and the band is powerful under those solos, and he's got the sound. Clearly he's I think you could say he's at the height of his powers, isn't he? He's got all the experience. He's got 30 years experience of playing gigs and playing. He's newly sober, and and it's it all comes together, and he sings and plays fantastically. I gave this 10 out of 10 as well. Never a skip. It's a great version of it. Andrew.
Yeah, you guys are right and correct 100%. This version of White Room, and according to me, to my interpretation, gentlemen, it's one of the definitive versions of it. And I see Crappy Lucky here has got White Room version, and Live Cream Volume 2 is a great version as well. One of the great things about what Clapton has done in his newfound sobriety that the Rock Professor has mentioned, folks, for you, is that he's staking a claim on his legacy through this package, and we got to remember that he's going through with this band or these group of musicians, and he's picking songs. The next one, again, he talks about it being 20 years old, and he's stamping Brad's claim on that as well, on that whole history of his. And the reason why that came to my mind, guys, is that I posted on on our channel yesterday a song, "All You're Loving," from the Beano album, and one of the comments that was made immediately was by a guy saying, "Gosh, Clapton's played in a lot of bands," and he has. So the point that I'm saying is that you know, this version of White Room, this band Cream, that was Clapton's. That was Clapton's band. You know, so he's laying a claim to this legacy, which is his. And making it sound sonically good in 1990. I remember again when I watched this on that 24 Nights thing that you're talking about, Brad, we've mentioned before, that came out before the 24 Nights, that MTV special. We got that here, you know, and this video was taken from that, and it was, you know, on the music programs. And I remember videoing it to watch it. It was a huge event. You know, Clapton was playing really, really well. And I think, guys, you got to remember, I think that was the first time we got to see him play this version of this great song. We hadn't seen him play it because the farewell concert gig at the Albert Hall was just atrocious. You couldn't see anything. So again, this is one of the reasons why I love this package. It's a cracking number, isn't it? It's just fantastic. I love all the versions of White Room. I don't think he's done a bad version. I think it's impossible. I don't think he can do it, Brad and Simon. You know, this is a Brad score for me. This is 10 out of 10. It's if I had to have a Cream, if I had to have a version that wasn't a Cream version, Brad and Simon, this would be it.
100%. Yeah. Look, it's I think we should show maybe the photos, Andrew, at this point, if you want.
Yeah, bro. I haven't had the Wuhani. I haven't had the Wuhan, Greg. I get tested for the Wuhani.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jim, he didn't play it through the 70s White Room, did he? He kept away from the Cream stuff as a kind of
correct. And you know, because he didn't want to.
No, but in a sense, it involves him playing lead guitar, doesn't it? And being out in the front and giving it some, you know. And one feels that, you know, if you're not in that 70s thing where he was being part of a band. I also think, Andrew, that Cream was, you know, he was definitely the sort of guest star on the Beano album, you know, featuring Eric Clapton. You know, the Yardbirds, he was it wasn't really his band. Cream, you know, I think it was the three of them together, you know, because they're very strong personalities, Ginger Baker and Jack Bruce, yeah. You know, and he moves out of that into Steve, so he does Blind Faith with Steve Winwood, you know, and Rick Grayson. That's a bit more of a, you know, kind of super group. And gradually he's moving, and when he gets to here, he's clearly the leader.
Sure.
You know, it's his band, he's chosen musicians, he's the leader. He says what goes, and I think that's probably an evolution from, you know, where he was in the 60s, and, you know, and then being part of the band thing in the 70s. Kind of, he's
and a lot of people never heard that song as an example live for years. You know, right through the 70s and probably early 80s, he you know, didn't play that often. One other thing before I show the pics that the Rock Professor mentioned too, folks, about the wah-wah. And we've all had experiences with the wah-wah too. If you're playing at bedroom level with a wah, you're going to go like that. You're going to go like that. But if you're going to do that at bedroom level. But if you get those Marshalls cranking or your Blues Breaker amp and turn it on to 10 and get some volume, you can't go like that. It sounds bad.
No.
So it forces you to go, you know, to get that fluttering.
Yeah.
You've got to have volume. You got to crank it to get the... Because you don't want to go like that. You've got to go like that.
Especially at bedroom volume.
All right, remember that.
What can be used in a number of ways, and I think the
Interesting.
thing that Eric does wonderfully well on this is he actually does use it like to give that sort of Hendrix effect, like the wah 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 wah, like he does that, but he squeezes the notes he uses the filter to squeeze the note, and you can actually increase your feedback and everything with a wah pedal. It's an amazing pedal. There's so many ways you can use it.
Yep. Just don't use it at the bedroom going like that.
No.
Just before we carry on, we say good morning to John, ZD351. Crappy luck.
Oh, here's trouble.
So
Look what the cat
he
dragged
popped
in.
Yeah, here's trouble.
Yeah. So the
Morning to you.
videos, the pics, ladies and gentlemen, are brought to you by these three guys here in honour of the Beano album celebrating its birthday yesterday. Thank you, John ZD351, for the pics, as ever.
Yes, fantastic.
Yeah. So that's a couple of good picks of the 9-piece band I thought were worth showing. That's a good one there with Phil Palmer in the background there on guitar. Eric's obviously in the middle. The girls, the BV singers, Nathan East is the closest one to us, and he's on a big 6-string bass here. And
It is big, isn't it? That neck is blooming wide, isn't it? I noticed
yeah.
that blown. That's wide, yeah.
He's playing his Yamahas there too, isn't he?
Yeah. That's a great
Yes.
photo of Eric, just sporting the vest. Versace, he's wearing the leather pants there, I think, Andrew.
Ooh, you
Look
got
at
those
that.
leather pants, bro.
He's got the leather
Uncanny.
pants, the black strap with the heavily flamed maple neck. I would love to know who purchased these guitars,
No.
Andrew. I would love to know.
Well, I think
Yes.
most of them got sold at the Crossroads auction, to be fair.
Yeah.
Look at that.
That's another great picture. I thought that was a good cross-stage picture, you know.
Katie
Soldano's
Kassoon's book
clearly-
is pretty good too. Check that out.
Whacking Katie Kassoon.
The Smiles, Katie Kassoon, Phil Palmer there, Eric Clapton, there's Nathan East, Steve Ferrone on the drums over there on the far end of the stage. And you can't see behind. There's obviously the rest of the band behind. Yeah.
Eric
that-
with his
that tour
Soldanos
was-
clearly visible. Yeah. Twin
Yeah.
Soldanos. Stereo
Yeah.
mix.
Yeah, that tour was instrumental for making a lot of musicians a lot of money, but also building their reputations. Palmer, obviously, and Katie Kassoon. Nathan East brought him closer to Eric Clapton this tour.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Just to say thanks to Derek, who's pointed out that Eric first reintroduced White Room at Live Aid in '85. So thanks, Derek, for that.
That's a great picture. Just a
And morning to KXM Rock. Morning KXM Rock. Good to see you, man. Hope you're good.
casual, laid back sort of t-shirt under the suit. Just
Designer t-shirt.
Oh, of course, probably $500 t-shirt.
It's not that $50 white beefy tee, bro, that you and I were getting back in the day. And $50 was a lot of money back in 1990 for a t-shirt, bro.
$50 for a t-shirt. Blind, listen
$50
to
for
it.
a beefy tee, bro.
Millionaire Andrew Walton says, I only spent $50 on a t-shirt.
That's a great picture. That one. Same Versace,
Yeah.
strap and all that, and that's taken from the Blues Nights. But I thought that would be a good one to show because he's actually smiling. He looks really like he's enjoying himself immensely. Oh, that was a very cool picture. He looks deep in the moment there. Let's put it like he looks almost like he's a biblical character here, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Zen-like.
Great picture. That's another one.
KXM Rock says, Clapton wears the good stuff from Selfridges.
He was thin there too, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, he's very wiry. Yeah. I think the good thing, the reason why he felt comfortable wearing a suit, I think, is it made him look a bit sort of fuller.
Yeah, there's a point that I want to make quickly, that we had Ramon Goose from the Guitar Show on the channel a couple of years ago, bro, and we were talking about Clapton, and he's a Clapton nut, and he made this point. He said it's very interesting. You got to remember that Clapton, around that 24 Nights period, was a corporation. He was a corporate. You know,
Yes.
he was dressing like that as well, with the Armani suits and all that, and the band, and being the band leader. You know, he wasn't that 70s hippie anymore, you know, or that, you know, wandering free spirit.
Yep.
It was serious. It was and that's not a negative thing, but
No.
you know, you can see how how he was doing that as a band leader right through this package. He had to do it. He had to do it, bro, and he did it well.
Oh,
I don't know where the Rock Professor has gone, bro. I think he's
That's
ditched
okay.
us.
That's all right. He's done a runner during the photo segment. That's all right. We'll kick on with the next track, and I'm sure by
Kick
the
on,
time
bro.
he'll be back. He'll be back.
on.
Listen to me, you cheeky lot. I'm still listening, you know. In spite of the fact you think I'm not, I'm listening. I think that just picking up on your point, Andrew, that this, you know, that late 80s, early 90s, that's the time of the suit, isn't it? You know, the time of the power dressing, the time, you know, that kind of 80s work, you know, as you say, corporate ethic kind of thing. It's, you know, it's absolutely, you know, of that time. So, you know, it's kind of appropriate for that time that you wore suits and things.
Yeah. I think he wanted to present himself in a certain way, so and he did a fantastic job. But he's always, you know, 24 Nights onwards, I think he's always been very focused on how he looked up until the Crossroads festivals, and then he started to get a bit more casual again. So, but anyway, enough about the fashion. We'll get straight back into the songs. I think that's the most important thing. Can't Find My Way Home. Now, this is a lovely version of this song, very stripped back. And this is the 9-piece band. Starts with a wonderful sort of ambience going on there. Some lovely acoustic lead guitar there from Phil Palmer. Eric's playing the acoustic as well. Nathan East is the main vocal of this song, as introduced at the start of the song by Eric. The song features some really delicate drumming. I think it's with brushes, and the bass solo from Nathan East. It's on an upright fretless bass. Some wonderful backing vocals from everyone in the band. They're all singing. It's great. The whole arrangement and performance. I guess we're seeing the first real snippets of Unplugged from Eric Clapton here. That's my observation. It's a lovely version of the song. And it's really great to see Nathan East highlighted here in this way. It's a solid 9 out of 10 for me, guys. Never a skip. Simon.
Yep.
Yeah, it's it's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, Eric introduces it as a song from 20 years ago, which feels like another lifetime, and yet
Sure
we're
does.
31 years away from 24 Nights. We're way longer away, and it feels like less has happened in that than happened between 1969 and 1990. This is amazing. At 22 years or 30, it's amazing. But how much went on in that 20-year period? But I agree with you. I think it is like the roots of that acoustic thing is sitting down and doing an acoustic thing. Twin acoustics, beautiful interplay between him and Phil Palmer. I mean, that's I think that's one of the most beautiful things about this track. I also think, did you not notice the similarity between the chord structure of this and White Room? That rundown is the blooming same thing, only slower. So it's like, I don't know whether they put them together as because one follows the other because they have a very similar chord structure. or whether they didn't. It's it's weird. You don't ever listen. It's clearly the setting is completely different, but yeah, that da 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 da. It's the same. It's just faster in White Room, but yeah, it's the same runner. You can notice like, oh right, so they put the two together. Have they? How cunning of them. But I think it's a beautiful thing, and it's delicate, as you say. It's a pretty delicate song. Clapton again. I think it's one of his favourite songs. I feel like he's got a connection to this song. With the refrain, "I can't find my way home." If that's not Eric, I don't know what it is. Kind of as a thing. Beautiful harmony vocals, and you've got the keys playing kind of subdued strings on it as well in the background and things. So it's as you've said, beautiful. Bass solo as well. But those two acoustic guitars playing underneath over the bass and stuff. It's fantastic. I gave this a 10 out of 10. I really love this song. I think it's a great song, and I think this is a really great version of it. It's delicate. I think it's got some emotion in it, and I'd go back and listen to it multiple times.
Well done.
10 out of 10 from me. Never a skip. Andrew. He's gonna give it a 3 out of 10. I can tell. He's like, I don't know what they're talking about, idiots.
Hey, Renus. Look, it's definitely a song that Nathan has played a few times since. It's suited for his voice, isn't it? For that high falsetto voice. It's a song that we all became familiar with when we heard it with Blind Faith, and we've ranked that album too, folks, on the channel. So I'll put a link to that somewhere on here if you want to go and check that out. Jim's made a comment in the chat about how Clapton got together with Winwood in the mid, about 2008, and did a really good version of this, and again, I promise, ladies and gentlemen, we will do Clapton Winwood DVD. That's definitely coming. We'll definitely be doing that. But getting back to this version, Brad and Simon, Nathan's a beautiful singer. That percussion intro is really 80s and 90s, isn't it? It's definitely a point in the history of the song that's stuck in that time thing. It's not my favourite version of the song. Again, I'm reading other comments here. Derek saying that they've done simpler versions in the past. That would have been nice. That would have been nice to hear a simpler version. But I'm giving this 7 out of 10. It's not my favourite version, Brad and Simon. I'm not saying it's never a skip, but it's an adequate song.
Adequate. Honestly, I think you should. I think you need to refer yourself to yourself, Mr. DVD. Yes, definitely.
Eric agrees with me. He agrees with me. He reckons his version that he did with Winwood was an absolute class act too. So,
well, I'm gonna let you
still a great version.
I'm going to let you off from a timeout, Andrew, but because you it's still a good score, but I would have thought it might have got a little bit higher from you on that one. But we'll go to the next track, guys. It's "Bad Love," and this is a song that I think we can all relate to as adults. You sort of had enough of bad love. It's something I can't be proud of. It's like you're moving on. Yeah. It's a song of moving on, and I've always loved this song. Every time this song starts, I think it's fantastic. But I love the intro to this song with the synth pads. Nathan has still got the fretless double bass here. I love how the guitar comes in with the wah pedal used differently this time to White Room. It's half cocked, so he's got that sort of half cocked tone going, and he just rides the filter just a little bit rather than doing, but then he ends each phrasing with a bit of a wah, like the flutter of the wah sort of thing. So sounds fantastic. This is an epic version of this song. I think it's probably one of my favorite versions of this song. Nathan East in that intro part switches over from the fretless bass to his 5-string bass. And Ray Cooper and Steve Ferrone are both playing drums on this one. And they play so well together, you think it's actually one drumming. So
Yep.
I love the intro guitar that leads us to the vocal. Eric's vocal in this is sensational, really. This is the 9-piece band again. They sound absolutely incredible. The arrangement, the verses, the choruses in this song are outstanding, very catchy. The backing vocals from the girls in the band are unbelievable in this song. Eric and Phil Palmer play wonderfully well together, and they're playing off each other, during this song. Again, Phil Palmer is really sort of holding that lead stuff down so well. He does such a great job. Look, we've already spoken about that. I love the breakdown where it stops and Eric comes back in for the solo. You guys know the part I'm talking about. That part. That's fantastic. And Eric comes back in. I love how he sort of leaves a gap before he comes in. Like there's this gap where he's like finding the note that he wants to dig into, and he just digs in. There's so much feel and emotion in his playing during the solo. Visually, the Blu-ray footage looks incredible. There's a real close-up of Eric's guitar, and it goes to the headstock with the cigarette placed strategically in the low E string and the headstock, and the lighting and the smoke coming off of the headstock of the guitar. It looks amazing. The split screen during the solo again really highlights, and I think it enhances. I'm going to say this now. I think visually watching these songs enhances the performance because you're actually seeing everything. And in this song in particular, that solo where he's, soaring through this solo, he's flying through it. He's playing incredible. And the visual part of it, you're just seeing him with his head back, his long hair, all that stuff. It looks amazing. There's another double chorus, and then you hear like double time drumming. We hear a second solo, leads us to the end of the song, and the way he bends the strings and employs the vibrato in this solo is very powerful, very, very powerful. And he's probably one of the greatest guitarists of all time. When you're talking blues rock guys, his bending and vibratos are outstanding. 10 out of 10, guys. Never a skip. Never a skip. That's a strong 10. Simon.
Yeah, I'm slightly less convinced by this, I have to say. I've never liked it that much as a song. It's okay, It's fine, but I also would say that sandwiching it between "Can't Find My Way Home" and "Before You Accuse Me" probably doesn't show it off in its best light to me. I felt there was a bit of a jar there, and I don't know who decided it should go there. But I kind of felt like that it was a bit of a somehow didn't quite fit in this space, but they wanted to fit it in because it's a great version of it. Absolutely, and as you say, Eric plays the solo at the end. He really lets go, doesn't he? As a let's fly at it, and I think that's. I think the other thing I'd say is that I think the keyboards on this are a bit 80s, to be honest. It's about one of the few times I didn't notice it that much, but I think I did notice it on this track. I made a note of it saying the keyboards are a bit 80s on this, which is not my favourite period of Eric's sound, or a lot of other people's sound as well. I mean, there's a lot of that. I agree with you completely. I think he sings it fantastically well. I think he's got a fantastic solo on it. And he plays that classic riff, halfway through. That is the major hook in it. I think for me that's really good. I think the bass and drums are great as well. I think the band, they're cooking it. They're on form. Absolutely. It just isn't one of my favourite songs of Eric, so I gave it an 8 out of 10. But I wouldn't skip it. But it's just not one of. And as I say, I'm a bit. It did strike me as being a bit of an odd place to put it, as if he were trying to lever it in a bit. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but the team in in the chat would tell me I'm wrong. Andrew, over to you.
It's still a good score, Simon.
Yeah. Oh yes, it's not. There's nothing wrong with it as a song. There's nothing wrong with it as a version either. And he plays and sings fantastically. The band are great. It just, as I say, it's not particularly one of my favourites. But Mr. Walton.
Yeah, it's an incredible intro, isn't it, Brad? You're right. Thanks for the discussion there on what he's doing with the wah, because it's a different setting that we've had on previous wah interludes. It's again, I'm going to pinch a comment here from Derek. It's a formulaic tune, and it was. The history of the tune. The record company wanted a new Layla, for the album, and they went and hired, I forget the other guy that helped them write it.
Mick Jones,
and
Foreigner.
It came out with this version. I loved it when it was released as a single when I was a young guy. It was, it did really well in the New Zealand charts, and then to go and hear this live version, Brad, was wow. It's just fantastic. And the chords, you can hear the chords, you can hear him playing those chords in the verses after he's had that wah solo. It's again testament to what he's doing on his guitar with the controls that we've discussed earlier. You've mentioned his vocals. The background vocals as well are in the pocket here on this tune. You've mentioned Steve Ferrone on drums. My gosh, what a great drummer he is. And that 3-minute 27 mark, Brad, that you were talking about, where he goes and you got that silence and you can hear that crank, and then he gets into that beautiful interlude or that melody. Blows me away. And he's got a solo that's on fire, and it's one of the best ever solos in my opinion. I think it's just great. I love it. I can't wait to hear it on Blu-ray, bro. I've been listening to it on Spotify. I'm familiar with this tune. We've been listening to it since 1991 when it came out on this package. I love it. It's brilliant. The way that all the instruments are clear in your mix that you can hear. Again, I take my hat off to the mixing of it. There's 3 songs on the Rock Night that are Brad scores. I've already given 1 Brad score. This is the 2nd Brad score. I'd be happy if they if they opened the gig with this, Brad, played this in the middle and ended this miserable 8. And I can't believe people in the chat are agreeing with
very
Rock
nice
Professor.
to me. They're very nice to me. See? Ha They can disagree with me. It's fine. That's absolutely fine. I accept that I'm not right, but that's where I am with it. You can't gainsay me on that. It's just where I am with it.
But incidentally, folks, when I read that they wanted, the record company, quote unquote, wanted a new version of Layla, when I hear this, I think that this is my generation's Layla. I can't help but not think that when I hear this.
So you're being ageist, because not my generation's Layla, because my generation's Layla is Layla. So there, and it's better than this. It just is. Rock Professor's now troublemaking.
All right, guys. Well, the next song is a Bo Diddley song. Eric introduces it as a Bo Diddley song. And then he starts off the song with the little intro he does, and the singing almost comes in immediately. He starts singing, it's fantastically. I love how he puts a groan in his voice when he sings this song. He's got that groan going on. And on this song, Nathan again is playing the upright fretless bass. It's the 9-piece band. So the first solo, Eric, is playing some amazing blues and phrasing. We know Eric from the blues nights when we went through those. His blues playing is You know, he's regarded as one of the greats, and rightfully so. He's an amazing blues guitar player. We hear another verse and chorus pass with some call and response vocals from Nathan, and like so, Eric sings the vocal and Nathan repeats it, and Eric kind of smiles in the DVD. It's like he's loving it. He's thinking this is great. Then we hear a solo from Phil Palmer, and he has a very unique style. He pinches out the notes out of his red Strat. You watch him playing, and it's amazing because he plays all the Eric Clapton stuff so well. But then when he gets to take on a solo, he puts his own style on it, and I love that about him. He's not trying to, overdo or overplay or do anything that's going to shine more than what Eric's doing. He's just playing a complementary guitar player, and the band sounds phenomenal in this song. Eric ends the song with another bluesy guitar solo. Again, the DVD makes this exceptionally good. The split screen. You're watching all these different angles of Eric playing. Again, like I said, like any up-and-coming guitarist or anyone that wants to focus on Eric, his soloing, this package is for you, because I know for well I'm going to sit there and I'm going to study a lot of this stuff just because it's so good. I have to give this a strong 9 out of 10 and never a skip, guys. Simon.
Yep.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Jim says that on the 1990 and 91, always followed Can't Find My Way Home, sometimes followed by Lay Down Sally instead of Before You Accuse Me. So there's a kind of, I feel like that would fit better, and they levered Bad Love into here. I think it probably might have been better off earlier on with the Journeyman tracks nearer to the beginning. But Before You Accuse Me, again, kind of. It's funny, isn't it, that how we're on the rock nights and yet he just do a blues song in the middle of it. You kind of feel like, should this not be in the blues bit? But maybe not. Maybe
I think he just has to put a blues song in everywhere he plays, mate. It's his DNA.
Is that how it works? Yes. Yes. Well, yes. We got to have one.
He does it on the symphony nights too. He puts blues in the symphony.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. So overlapping, and why not? As you say, it's a great version of Eric's done this a lot, hasn't he? Before You Accuse Me, I've heard lots of versions of this song. He's done it a lot over the years. I think that he's got piano on it as well. That's really cool. I think it's got sax as well in the background, saxophone in the background to kind of bring it in thing. I agree with you about Phil Palmer. He gets a chance to shine and does a great job on here, and with Eric, sandwiched between Eric's real blues solo. He's in home territories and he's soloing pentatonic stuff over blues, straightforward blues. I gave this 8 out of 10. Never a skip. It's a great version. Swings along beautifully. The band do beautifully. Yeah, 8 out of 10 for me. Never a skip. Mr. Walton.
Yeah, I agree with you guys, and reading the scores here in the chat too. You're right, Simon. It's a familiar song for us now. Clapton played it on Journeyman, obviously, took it on the live tour, and Brad was the second song on Unplugged, which came out, 3 or 4 years after this gig, so clearly a song that means something to Eric Clapton. And incidentally, folks, we've ranked Unplugged too, so we might attach a link somewhere on the channel here to that video. I think we did that over 2 nights too, didn't we? Was it 2 nights or 1 night?
24 nights.
No, that's how long it takes for me to get my bloody package.
Don't tempt us.
But I don't want to reiterate or repeat again too much of what you guys have already said. Again, Clapton loves to give his guitar men an opportunity to shine, and he gives it well. Good on you guys for talking about that. It sounds good. The sax is there. You're right there, Simon. And again, Clapton can't help himself, can he? He's a bluesman at heart. He's told us that himself, many times, So the point that I've got a point here, but the rock professor's stolen it. first. You know, he can't help himself. He's going to introduce clearly a blues song into a rock and roll night and turn it into something that's distinctly a Clapton cover that he goes on to record and sing many, many times since. Well done. I've given this 8.5, Brad, out of 10. It's never a skip. Love the song.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great version of it. So we come to the last track of today's rankings, which is side A of the CD, and it's "Lay Down Sally." I have to say, I've always loved this song from the original, and you know, watching this when it first came out, Andrew, and across 24 Nights, my mouth sort of dropped, my jaw dropped. I was like, this sounds fantastic. Starts off with Eric playing that classic laid back bluesy sort of riff and has a real shuffle feel. And Eric's vocal in this sounds eerily identical to the original recording of this. Have you guys picked that up? He's really sounds like it's from the original recording. His vocal, it's unreal. He's done such a great job.
Are you accusing Eric of miming to his own performance?
Well, I'm not. I'm actually
No,
not.
of
I'm
course you
actually
aren't.
giving him credit for
Kudos,
pulling
yeah.
that off so well. But yeah, look, it's scary that it sounds so close. The four-piece band again sounds fantastic. Nathan again is playing the upright fretless bass. Greg Fillingane's piano playing on this song is fantastic. I love how Eric employs like slight variations on the guitar. He even does some like inversion stuff leading back into each verse, sort of breaks the song up a bit, the monotony of that riff, I guess. And Eric's guitar solo is very laid back, some wonderful, fantastic phrasing and bluesy plunky playing. He's got that plunky sort of sound going that we all love from a Strat. I love how they bring the song back after the solo. And the end of this song is fantastic. It's like a little journey, this song, the way they do it, the way that, you know, Greg and Nathan keep singing Lay Down Sally in a harmony with each other. And Eric steps kind of to the side and continues the shuffle riff. And you see Eric at some stages looking across the stage, just smiling at Nathan and Greg, just like he's enjoying every moment of this. It's such a improvised little section at the end. The song basically ends with Eric playing the guitar with just the kick drum. You know, while the Greg and Nathan keep singing the Lay Down Sally part in a harmony. Eric has his eyes shut pretty much at this point. He's just feeling everything. There's so much more I could say about the way this song is performed. I did mention at the start of the ranking that this is very rehearsed. Now, it starts off rehearsed. I think the end of this song, they just wait, they feel it out, and the end of the song is wherever it feels right. For that reason and that reason alone, I love the way they've done this, and I give it a strong 10 out of 10. Never a skip. Simon.
Yeah, I agree. You know, sometimes there are just some things that you go, why aren't they doing that? You know, and it's like tiny things that are idiotic. Well, in this song, there's the 12-bar blues bit, dun, 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 you know, when you're playing on the A, and there's also the bit that goes A, F sharp, E, F, yeah, it's got dun, 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 yeah, on one guitar, and what I hear when we do it in our band. So, you know, Ian plays that bit, and I do the straight kind of 12-bar blues bit, and then I miss the bit that Ian's playing, and it's like, why isn't he doing that at the beginning? He hasn't got enough fingers. Is the answer to that, you know? But it's like it's like one of those things. I don't notice it down. Go, why isn't he doing this proper riff at the beginning? Anyway, yeah, just idiotic, you know. But you kind of just go, why is that not ridiculous? But it is a great version of it. You know, I think with this song, you've got to get the pace right, haven't you? You've got, you know, if it goes too fast, it turns in, you know, it doesn't have that swing that it needs to have that swing for it, you know, so I think there's very clearly, you know, but it is quite fast. It's quite quick. but you can't go too quick. And judging it, I think, is interesting. And this is a very good example of how to pace something without going too fast. Especially in a live environment when it's quite irresistible to get a bit faster, isn't it? We've all done that, turning things. I think is he playing brushes on this? I think it's brushes. The drums is kind of quite delicate sort of thing. Great bass and pianos up, and a piano in the background just to keep it going. I like the keys interlude. I think, as you say, the backing vocals are great, aren't they? The three of them singing together just sounds great. Great solos as well. And that bit at 4.5 minutes when they go into the groove and they do some kind of scat singing, lay dancing with the backing singers. It's really cool. And as you say, that end bit is a jam out, isn't it? Really, it's a kind of jamming, gradually fading out as a kind of thing and coming to a stop. So it's a great version of it. As I say, the key thing for me on this is the speed to make it swing and you don't go too fast, so it just becomes a rock thing. So 8.5 out of 10 from me. Never skip. Great version of it. Andrew.
Yeah, it's not an easy song to play, folks, and get it right. Trust me, it's a song that can trip you up, as Simon's already mentioned. I'll be honest with you. When I first heard this song back in the day when I was a young fella, it was on the radio. I never liked it. Never liked it much, Brad. And then when I discovered and took Clapton seriously and listened to it in the context of the album and what he was trying to do, and then took it seriously, and it became, one of my favourite songs, that Tulsa sound that he was after, and you go and read any article or watch any interview, when people talk about an example of it, they're going to inevitably or invariably mention this song as a great example of that genre, which again is one of those remarkable things that I love about Clapton, because, he's not scared to sing a reggae song. He's not scared to go and do, that Tulsa sound, that Tulsa blues, Tulsa country or whatever, and try and bring that into his repertoire. Brave man. And he does it really well on this. He brings it up to date, doesn't he? And, this wasn't on the first package. I think the first time I saw this was again on at the movie, Brad, on Across 24 Nights. Yep. And I think, we're talking about it, when we're, how he was just effortlessly going from the different chords, just effortlessly, just very delicately. And his long, slender fingernail, and it's just beautiful to watch when he's playing. The keys add that party vibe to the song. I love that. And you're right. There's something really distinctive about the tone. You could think that it could be quite a clean tone, but if you actually listen, it's not. It's quite crunchy.
Bit of drive,
You watch him; he does roll the volume back on the Strat. You'll watch him in certain parts. He's checking as well, kind of rolling it like just very, very quickly. Sort of gives a little nudge backwards so it's obviously, it's well documented that during this period he'd forget to use his pedals, and that he's very basic and minimalistic. He had a rig that was way too, full on for Eric Clapton, basically. So he's old school. He likes to ride the volume on his guitar.
And again, another example sonically, folks, of him doing that, because again, one of those tricks. It's just one of those sonic tricks that not a lot of songs can do, a lot of tones can do. But you go and listen. Go if you think that this is quite a stratty kind of tone, go back, folks, and listen to it, and you go, actually, Brad is right. There's a bit of crunch there, So, again, just does it really, really well. Eric sings fantastically. Again, we're going to keep continuing to talk about this when we do the other 9 songs. He gets better on a lot of those other tracks. Sounds fantastic. I like the party vibe, Brad and Simon, on this. Giving this 9 out of 10.
Yeah. Well done.
Never a skip, bro.
guys.
No.
I think we've done a really good effort to get through the first 9 songs in just under 2 hours. We've done a great job, and I've seen some wonderful comments there from everyone in the chat. So thank you so much for, in joining in and ranking and giving your, that's why we do this. It's great to get your input. And thank you, Jim, for the compliment. I appreciate that. I just saw that one pop up before. So thank you.
And we'll be on time next week because these guys will have the contract signed, so we'll be on time.
I'm signing nothing without a lawyer.
All right.
It's going to be December next year before I sign it with lawyers involved. No good
So we're
will
not
come
gonna-
of it.
We're not going to do any conclusions, folks, because this isn't the conclusion. So we're just going to say, like Brad said, we'll see you back here next week. Thank you for hanging out with us. I'm going to ask you please to subscribe to our channel and to our channel friends and share our links, please. And remember, all subscriptions to our channel get subscriptions back. So we'll do that. You got the chat up, Brad? You want to, because you just did such a great job of presenting and leading the show, do you want to go through and say goodbye to everybody and then we'll cruise?
Yes, I will. I want to tell everyone just before next week's, we are doing the CD2, which is Knocking on Heaven's Door Down to the Sunshine of Your Love from Disc 2. If you're on Spotify, it's the Rock Nights Disc 2. I don't know how it works on Spotify because I haven't looked at it from Spotify. I'm doing it from the Blu-ray. So, yeah. Okay, so thank you very much for joining us, everyone in the chat. We have got, I'm just pulling my chat up again because I dropped it out. Thank you very much for joining us, Jim, Justin Thunder 50. Thank you very much. Jimmy Ray Hawkins, Derek Clacton. We know, Derek, that you're really Eric Clapton. We know that. Ellen, thank you for joining me, Mum. And we've got Simon Williams. We've got a very close to a timeout, this bloke. He got very close to a timeout. We've got Gretch Zeppelin, Greg Roberts Tune. We have got, so thanks for joining us. Jimmy Ray Hawkins. There's been a bit of humour going on in the chat too, which is great to see. We have got L&M Guitar Corner. Thank you for joining us, L&M Guitar. We always appreciate you coming on and checking out what we're up to, what these rat bags are doing. Another one that nearly got timed out tonight, 50 on 50 show. He's he just scraped in, not getting timed out. There was Tim Thomas. Tim Thomas, thank you, Tim, for joining us. There's so much chat here. I'm trying to scroll through it all as quickly as I can and not miss anyone. I think that's about pretty much everyone. Oh, John ZD351. How could I forget you, brother? Thank you so much for joining us. And I think there was one more person. I'm just having a quick look through. But again, thank you for joining us, everyone. Renus Pinkle, thank you for joining us. And KXM Rock, thank you so much for joining us. Joined us towards the end of the show. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode we've done, and we look forward to doing part 2 of the Rock Nights
next week. And Jonas Halberg, thank you, Jonas.
Jonas Halberg,
continued support.
Beautiful stuff. Good night, guys.
Yeah. Take care. We're taunting Mr. Walton.